You could feel it coming. The Cowboys weren't just going to win this game, they were going to make a statement. And the Jets were going to learn why this season suddenly feels like a teardown rather than a reset. Dallas walked into MetLife and left with a 37-22 victory that was at times clinical on offense and at others punishing on defense. For New York, it was another ugly chapter in a season that's curdled into chaos under first-year head coach Aaron Glenn. Let's start with the obvious. The Cowboys' offense looked the way everyone hoped it could. They piled up 416 total yards without CeeDee Lamb, mixing explosive plays with long, sustainable drives. Javonte Williams gashed the Jets for 135 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. A reminder that when the line blocks and the running game hums, this Dallas attack becomes easy to live with. Williams' long 66-yard burst before the half wasn't just a big play, it set a tone. It put the Cowboys in control of the game clock and the tempo. Dak Prescott didn't need to throw a clinic. The Cowboys asked him to manage possessions, hit the right throws, and make the big play when it appeared, and he complied. The passing game found a new primary target in George Pickens, who turned a 43-yard play-action strike into a touchdown and continued to emerge as a go-to in Lamb's absence. And rookie-ish contributions like Ryan Flournoy's 114-yard outing showed depth in the receiving room that will matter down the stretch. But what made this performance particularly gratifying for Dallas fans was the defense. After weeks of ridicule, and with the Micah Parsons trade still echoing in the background, the Cowboys front-delivered pressure and finished plays. They sacked Justin Fields 5 times and turned the Jets into the offensive afterthought they looked like on film. 1 touchdown until garbage time, 3 and outs, stalled drives. James Houston's 3rd and 19 sack early in the 4th summed it up. Dallas beat New York up front, and the Jets looked like a team that simply couldn't respond. It's worth noting just how dramatic a fall this is for the Jets. Aaron Glenn was hired as a defensive guru, a culture reset. Instead, New York has now surrendered 27-plus points in each of Glenn's first 5 games. That kind of trend doesn't happen by accident. Scheme, execution, personnel, all 3 are massively underperforming. The season is fast becoming a lost cause. And 0-5 start under a first-year head coach is a harsh indictment. And it's historically bad for a franchise that hasn't seen the playoffs since 2010. Justin Fields was under siege, and that physicality affected his timing and decision-making. The Jets committed self-inflicted wounds, too. A lost fumble from Breece Hall, drives that evaporated mid-series, penalties at the wrong time. Those mistakes matter most against a team like Dallas that doesn't need a lot of turnovers to convert yardage into points. And perhaps the most damning stat of all for New York, through 5 games they had not forced a single turnover. That's an NFL anomaly. The first team to open a season without forcing a turnover in 5 games, per the report. Turnover margin wins games. When you have 0 takeaways, a bad team gets thoroughly exposed. For the Cowboys, the win answers a few questions but doesn't solve everything. They still have consistency to chase, and questions remain about defensive depth and how this unit holds up against better offensive lines and more creative play calling. But Sunday was a boost. The offense executed with balance. The run game reclaimed its identity. The defense showed flashes of the pass rush prowess that can cover for coverage flaws. It was the sort of win that can build momentum, especially when it's delivered on the road. For the Jets, this is a season-altering moment, if it isn't already. The roster has talent in pockets. You don't get top-end picks and miss entirely, but it's not clicking together. Coaching decisions, schematic fits, and possibly talent evaluation are all in the crosshairs. The offense didn't create enough wins, the defense couldn't make stops, and the special teams weren't the difference maker you sometimes need in these rebuilding stretches. The franchise is at a crossroads. Double down, pivot, or start planning for a full-scale regroup. There's also a human element here. The Cowboys are playing like a team reacting to adversity, dealing professionally with the Parsons trade fallout, letting the next man step up, and turning criticism into production. Javonte Williams looked revitalized. George Pickens is morphing into a reliable chain mover. That buy-in matters. Dallas roster construction gives them flexibility. When players are available and the calls are made correctly, Just they look like a real threat in the NFC. On the Jets side, young players, and there are plenty, need coaching and confidence, and right now they're not getting the latter. The offensive line breakdowns and failure to generate pressure on defense are fixable over time, but not in one offseason. The franchise needs clarity at multiple levels: scheme, identity, and perhaps even the front office timeline for patience with Glenn. The NFL doesn't tolerate slow rebuilds for long. The fan base and ownership will want answers fast. As for what the Cowboys get out of this, breathing room. They leave MetLife with the kind of W that keeps playoff hopes alive, while also reminding the NFC that Dallas isn't merely surviving. They can be dominant when their lines hold. For New York, the loss accelerates the urgency. Every snap under Aaron Glenn now carries extra weight. Sunday was a microcosm of two organizations going in opposite directions, one finding strength in depth and execution, the other unraveling under pressure and mistakes. If you're a Cowboys fan, savor the performance: balanced, physical, and efficient. If you're a Jets fan, start demanding answers and quickly. Because a Note 5 start isn't just a bad headline, it's a season-defining fork in the road. There's nothing subtle about Sunday's result. The Dallas Cowboys cooked the New York Jets on offense and teed off on Justin Fields, cruising to a 37-22 win that dropped the Jets to 0-5 under first-year head coach Aaron Glenn. For Dallas, it was an offensive showcase. For New York, it was more proof their season is already spiraling. Dak Prescott and company moved the ball at will. The Cowboys piled up 416 total yards, keying off a powerful run game led by Javonte Williams, who finished with 135 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. With CeeDee Lamb out, George Pickens and second-year receiver Ryan Flournoy stepped up. Flournoy turned in a breakout 114-yard game, and the Cowboys didn't blink when asked to replace lost firepower. Defensively, Dallas finally looked like the unit critics hoped it could be. Pressure was consistent all afternoon. 5 sacks of Justin Fields and multiple third-down stops made life miserable for the Jets' offense. That pass rush made Fields uncomfortable all game, resulting in hurried throws, a short outing overall, and a day where the Jets simply failed to sustain any meaningful drives until garbage time. The Jets' problems remain systemic. This was the 5th straight game under Glenn in which New York surrendered 27 or more points, and their inability to generate turnovers has been glaring. They became the first team in NFL history to go through the first 5 games of a season without forcing a single turnover. That stat alone tells you how poorly the defense is functioning and why the team can't buy a win. If you're not creating change of possession opportunities, you put enormous pressure on an inconsistent offense to outscore opponents. For the Cowboys, the win is a strong, confidence-boosting performance. They protected Prescott, just 1 sack allowed on his side, balanced the run and pass, and showed they can still thrive without their top receiver. This kind of commanding performance could be the reset Dallas needs after an up-and-down start. For New York, the stakes are growing. Aaron Glenn's defense was supposed to be an identity. Instead, it's a liability. Justin Fields has been under constant heat, and the offense has too many one-off plays and not enough consistent, sustained execution. Personnel questions, scheme issues, and play calling will all be under the microscope after a loss that felt inevitable. Bottom line, Dallas looks like a team building momentum. The Jets look like a team that desperately needs answers. If New York can't fix the defense and stop the turnover drought, this season could become a long, early write-off.